Dual Blades. Yes, it is indeed that time again for a new Dual Blades build, this time in Update 2. Update 2, of course, introduced 3 new monsters, and one affects our build nicely in 2 major ways, our armor and a new weapon. Burst was introduced as a decoration, the newly renamed Chain Crit, which has some potential, but hilariously is not relevant to our build. Most importantly, our new build will let us get extra attack power, which is a significant raw attack increase in this update. We're even going to get that new skill, Intrepid Heart, as an extra benefit to it all. And I must say a big thank you and full credit to Josh on this one. He worked out the improvements and the set for this build. So a big thank you to him for working out the armor pieces that we're going to use this time. Much like last time, the concept here is to be able to use the correct elemental weapon against a monster weak to said element. We want to make this as effective as possible for you guys with as little disruption to your gameplay as we can get away with. So we have one armor set that swaps the weapon and some minor decoration changes with each of that between each element. As always, there's technically some monsters that have lower element hit zones than others. So in these cases where Element Bane won't work, a lower element weapon with higher raw stats and a rampage decoration other than Element Bane, that will be best. But this is to give you the best core to then make those minor changes yourself when you feel ready. We'll begin with the armor set itself then, which we'll use for all 5 weapons. We have the Teostra helmet, we have the Silver Wrath chest, we have the Golden Wrath gloves, we have the regular Rathalos weights, we love Wrath here apparently, and then the new Flaming Espinas boots. This results in the following skills that matter on these armor sets. We have Attack Boost, Critical Eye, Crit Boost, the newly renamed Burst instead of Chain Crit, a tiny bit of Critical Element, and Element Exploit, as well as the new skill Intrepid Heart. From here, we're going to want to make sure we get the important skills and then max level via decorations, talismans, and curious crafting. That would be 7 out of 7 critical eye on all but the fire build, 6 attack boost, 5 out of 5 of the element you're using, so in this case it's water attack. We already had that 3 crit boost, weakness exploit 3 out of 3, very important. Critical element is very nice to get at 3 out of 3, but those are the skills we need to make sure we get. To achieve that, these are the decorations I'm running. These are my weapon slots, my helm, my chest piece slots, my glove, the waist, and the boots. Finally, I have the other Tenderizer jewel in the talisman. We're going to talk about the talisman now. I am using this Critical Eye 3 with the 1/2 slot for decorations. Now, obviously, this is a very good talisman, but it's not something you absolutely need to have this build work. What you actually need is a suitable talisman that helps you reach those core skills and their levels, the ones I just listed. This could instead be an attack boost talisman, such as this one. You could run a critical boost talisman with better slots than this. Considering the fact that we're using 3 weakness exploit decorations, you could go for a weakness exploit talisman with really good slots, better than this ideally. The idea is that you have at least 2 levels in a core skill, such as critical boost, crit eye, attack boost, weakness exploit, and so on, and then a decoration slot or multiple at level 2 or higher. If you cannot achieve these numbers, then you may need to rely on curious crafting to get you there, but that's also a valid option. If for any reason you aren't able to achieve the exact same skill levels, like maybe you have 1 less attack boost, then that's completely fine, but you know what you need to aim for. Speaking of curious crafting or armor augmenting then, this could be a great option for that. Since I have the skills and the levels that I've talked about in this video, I have what I need, I can go for more comfy skills. That could be raw defense as an obvious option like this, just to reduce the raw damage I take. I could get extra decoration slots, which would be wonderful. I could get skills that are actually on the set or I'm even decorating for, such as critical element here, or other comfy skills like protective polish or something to help with stamina like constitution. Though of course, you just pop 1 energy drink and you're not going to need that. Or you could have some very good luck and get damage increasing ones like Agitator, or the core skills like Attack Boost, Crit Eye, and so on. If I were to get one of those, then I will be able to take out one of the decorations I'm working on that and get something more comfy. Of course, this is a very RNG system, so these are my suggestions. There we go, got myself a bit of protective polish on my legs for really no cost. Speaking of protective polish then, a quick word on that. I found myself more than capable of managing my sharpness using the new Silkbind attack Iron Shine Silk, which will restore some sharpness on use, but also whenever I evade or counter, I'll regain even more. So protective polish for Dual Blades isn't that important, there's just one weapon where it kind of is, and that's what I'm wearing right now, the Nawa Dual Blades, which only have this slither of purple sharpness before it's gone. So protective polish here is obviously going to be useful. To achieve that, you can use sharp jewels. There's the 4 slot and the 2 slot. Luckily for me, I just augmented one level of protective polish onto my legs, so I don't need to actually use a Sharp Jewel 2 anymore. So I'm going to slot back in an attack jewel. I took out the crit element jewel +4 to get the 4 slot Sharp Jewel, giving me 2 levels of protective polish, and then I would take out an attack jewel for another level to get 3 out of 3. Thankfully, with augmenting, I don't have to do that. This means every time I sharpen, I have 90 seconds where I don't lose any of my sharpness, and I should maintain it further with Ironshine Silk until I can sharpen again while the monster's running away or something. Now, before we move on to the weapons, I need to mention the fire build version, because yes, we are using the flaming Espinas Dual Blades for the fire build, meaning we don't actually need 7 crit eye. They come with 15% affinity, so we can drop one of the crit eye decorations. That will bring us to 95% affinity, but in trade, we get to go to 7 out of 7 attack boost. Plus, in the fire version, we have the Silver Wrath chest piece. That gives us 3 fire attack, so we even free up 2 1 slots for something else, because we don't need to decorate for that. The fire version is obviously awesome for multiple reasons, as you can see. But with the armor sets now explained, we gotta talk about the weapons. As mentioned in the introduction, there are a lot of weapons you could use for each weapon. However, I wanted to pick one for each element that could be the core pick, the most important one to have. You can then swap to other options of that element if the weapon has lower element hit zones for better raw numbers and lower element, for example, which I'll talk about shortly. Of our 5 elements, 4 of the weapons are going to remain the same recommendation from me in Update 2, but we have the new one, the fire option here. The flaming Espinas Dual Blades are our new pick for that. Compared to the Magmadrons, there is a 15% affinity on these. Still, we have the 3 slot Rampage decoration slot, but even better regular decoration slots, making this a great pick alone on that. The downside is, of course, the slightly reduced fire element damage on these compared to Magmadrons, but it's well worth the drop when we look at, say, the insanely good purple sharpness. That's going to be easy to maintain using Ironshine Silk. But then on top of all of that, there's a secret to these weapons. If you read the description of them, it tells you that it has a chance to inflict poison. So that's just extra DPS for using these things. So for all these reasons, that's how Josh convinced me this is worth the slight element drop from the Magmadron Dual Blades for fire in particular. When it comes to augmenting our weapons in Update 2, we now have an extra anomaly slot, and with that, an extra 2 levels of element boost is available for all of our weapons. Therefore, you want element boost level 5 like I've got here, which will add a total of 15 element attack to your weapon, up from our previous 9. Now, you could go to 4 and get +12, and then get attack boost 1, which will give us attack +5, but as we are an element build, while we're in demon mode, we get a % increase to our element damage, so the more we have, the better. That's why we go for level 5 on element boost instead. For our other element weapons, though, they're much the same as Update 1. I recommend Kushala for Ice, the Valstrax Dual Blades for Dragon, the Nawa Dual Blades for Thunder, and of course the Almadron for Water. As alternatives, you could consider Luna's for Ice, the Guild Tree 2 Dual Blades for Dragon, there's the Zin Ogre Dual Blades for Thunder, and even the Mizutsune tree for your Water Dual Blades. These suggestions are, of course, for when the enemy has low element hit zones, such as when Ellen Bane will never trigger, and you want the higher raw stats. Let's move on now to the math for our new armor set, and why not combine the math with our new weapon, that awesome fire build specifically, and the flaming Espinas Dual Blades. The raw attack of these is 300, so we times that by 1.1, aka 10% from the 7 attack we have. That brings us to 330. Then we have +10 from 7 attack, +15 from 3 chain crit, aka burst in Update 2, and that brings us up to a nice healthy 355. We of course have purple sharpness, which is a 39% increase, so 355 times 1.39 brings us to 493.45. Finally, we have our affinity to consider, which is enhanced by our 3 crit boost. We have 95% affinity with 3 crit boost, so it's 40% extra damage 95% of the time. 40 times 0.95 is 0.38. So 493.45 times 1.38 brings us to our grand total of 680.961 raw, aka if we round that up, 681. So that's 681 raw attack when using this weapon with the set. Then, on the other hand, we have the element to calculate. The flaming Espinas Dual Blades have 41 to begin with. We're going to times that by 1.2 because of the 20% increase from Fire Attack 5, bringing us up to 49.2. Then we're getting +4 from Fire Attack 5, +15 now from our element boost augment, +12 from our level 3 burst, aka chain crit, and that brings us up to 80.2. Once again, we have purple sharpness. That's a 25% increase to element damage. So 80.2 times 1.25, that brings us up to 100.2 100.25. Element exploit is a 10% increase. That's 100.25 times 1.1, bringing us up to 110.275. Finally, once again, we have the affinity. It's 95% affinity with the 3 crit element. So that's 15% extra element damage 95% of the time. 15 times 0.95 is 14.25. So to calculate our affinity then, that's 110.275 times 1.1425. Our final element number then is 125.9891875. What a mouthful, aka if we round that up to 126. Therefore, our final numbers of this set with Flaming Espinas Dual Blades is a raw attack of 681, an element of 126. Of course, these numbers don't include other modifiers that happen when we're in combat, like Demon Mode, which will raise these numbers by a notable amount. This is for the weapon in the set specifically. But there you have it. That is the build for Update 2 and our 5 element options and suggestions around that. Overall, I find Update 2 pushes us forward ever so slightly, with better raw and the fun benefits of, say, Intrepid Heart now slotted into the build. Even just level 1 of that is going to occasionally reduce the damage taken from attacks, which is certainly nice as an extra bonus we weren't trying to get. I'm also happy to see at least one new weapon in the meta, but the power creep is very slight from update 1 to 2. I expect a bit more of a noticeable creep in power in update 3, likely when more Risen will arrive, maybe other element based monsters will come along, maybe we'll even see rarity 11 weapons. But let me know your thoughts on the builds, and if you appreciate this type of content, which does take a lot of work, please do drop a like on the video. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.